Equestrian team just opened up the 2023 season, and joining us to talk about that, head coach of the UT Martin Equestrian team, Kim Leiter. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. Your debut on the show as well.
Oh, it's so exciting. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Do you feel like a superstar?
I do, kind of, yeah, rock star status.
And you got to eat at Zaxby's.
I know, perfect, awesome.
Come on.
It was good.
Come on, there you go.
Yeah.
It started off the year with some of the nation's best, went up against Georgia and South Carolina. And how'd you like your team's performance there in the opening matches for you all?
Yeah, good. So we went to South Carolina first, and we haven't been there in 5 years, and so shook off some nerves. It was we had a few, little mistakes because we were nervous, not quite putting our best foot forward, but it was really good. I was really proud. We did see some really strong efforts, and Sydney got an MOP in the flat with a stunning ride, so that was really fun. But then we went to Georgia, which is an even bigger foe, and can be a little daunting, and the girls rode really well. So the scoreboard didn't look as great as the rides looked. We lost a lot of points by a 0.5, which is just like minor little details. So we rode really well. They stepped up, so we're really excited to come home and play at South Dakota State at home and then Auburn at home as well.
As great as a tradition as you have created, you said against a bigger foe. Most of the time it's against a bigger foe.
Always,
right?
yeah. We're very much an underdog in our sport. That's one of the things we talk about. And then we ride a judged sport. Mm-hmm. So on top of it, it's not just did you hit that basket or did you make that time, but the judge is always different. So there's always a little bit of an unknown there, and they know those foes are a little bigger, and so there's a lot of that piece.
You don't use that as an excuse at all.
Absolutely
ever,
not. No, we choose it. We love it.
Yeah.
We choose it. And so just how can we be better? We take that information and try to get better each time. So we're really, really excited to come home.
And as of right now, what are some of the team's biggest strengths heading into this year?
Oh, we've got some really strong leaders. We've got some juniors and seniors that have been competing, some of them since their freshman year. So we've got a strong group of returners that are doing well. But we have 3 really strong freshmen that made their debuts. And so athletically, probably the most stout team we've had in the lineup, which is really fun because we're growing, but also just in leadership and their aptitude to be there for each other and helping each other and for the greater good of our team, looking for some really good wins as a team.
And we talked to Coach Thrasher, I think maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and talking about recruiting for rodeo. For equestrian, what does that look like when you're trying to get an athlete to come here to UT Martin? What's your pitch, and how do you find these athletes?
Well, it's a big deal. So a lot of the bigger schools, because we are the only non-scholarship team in the NCEA, and so our girls actually have to pay to be part of it. So it's a little different than going to the big school, the big events and recruiting. We do camps, but a lot of people are seeking us out, which is really interesting to see. It's been fun to see that shift because of our culture, because of who we are. And so typically girls send in videos and they come to campus and they just fit our campus, the smaller school, a lot of academically stout kids that are looking to be veterinarians and doctors and all the, lots of different pieces, a lot of nurses in our program too. So looking at UT Martin for the schooling.
And a very successful program that UT Martin has and been ranked in the top 10 in a ton of polls just throughout its history. What do you attribute that to?
Oh, tenacity. Just, the willing to work hard and to compete. It's really tough because they've got to ride horses they don't know. We go especially when you go away to these bigger schools. We have a little bit of a home field advantage when you're showing on your own horses, but just being tough enough to have some grit and get on a horse and go jump it around on a horse you don't know, and it's really kind of cool. Yeah.
In your sport, you said a lot of work. A lot of work happens away from the competition.
Absolutely.
Tell us about that.
Well, we have 40 head of horses, so on top of getting the girls ready and all the things they need, those horses need daily care, athletic care, just like the training room. We theraplate them and ice boot them, and our girls do all that. We don't have a staff that does
What's
that.
What's ice boot them mean?
So, like, if you were to go in an ice bath, like a person does, or ice their knees, we have ice boots we put on their legs.
For the horses?
For the horses.
What do they think about that?
They love it because they're working hard, they're jumping, they're running and stopping, they're athletes. So they have to have all the aftercare that our student athletes get in the training room.
Yeah.
Cool. We also do all that for the horses. We have a little vibrating theraplate they stand on that helps relieve the stress in their legs. They ice boot, they do Magna Wave.
Are they not scared of this at first?
Oh yeah, but they learn to like it. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely they get a lot of pampering and care from the girls for sure. Yeah.
They're happy horses. When I drive by, they're always smiling.
Always having a great time.
Well, they get to do a lot of cool things because of the pre-vet vet tech programs, and they get a lot of treats and a lot of love, and so yeah, very cool.
Definitely well cared for. For your athletes and for you, what goes into a week of preparation when you all are preparing for an event?
It's a little different for away versus home. So at home meet, we also have to have those horses at their top notch. So we're practicing patterns, and we get those 2 weeks out and what they're going to compete in, what the parts of the patterns that they need to have, and then getting the horses ready for home meets. Plus, we set up all the arena. We have to move our horses up to the ag pavilion, set it up like a horse show. So there's a lot of physical prep at the home meets, but away meets, it's a lot more mental training. We watch a lot of videos. We get videos from the other events so we can see what we kind of get some intel on the horses that we're going to go ride. So a little different home versus away.
I was going to ask you that because you don't travel with your horses, so you need to really know intel, personality, and scouting.
Yes.
So does it give you a huge home advantage?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then it does, and then the girls also know the horses, and so sometimes they can ride to the horses' hole. So our horses are all donated. Most of the horses are the schools that donated, so they have little issues, right? And so you know what they are at home, and that can be a good thing and a bad thing. You can ride past it or over it, and so the mental side of all of that is really a big piece. And then away, sometimes you can just go show it and hand it back to them. So like you don't have to, the girls get connected to the horses too, and so they're like, oh, I didn't want to do this so hard for him because we know he's been a little, having a little trouble with that spot or something, and they'll underride a little bit sometimes. So.
You've got South Dakota State and
Yes.
Auburn next week.
Yep.
Again, two really good programs there. And this week off, but what goes on during one of these weeks before you all take on those two schools?
So we actually gave the girls off today, which we don't always do, but we've got Monday, Tuesday, which is fall break, and we'll have hard day Monday, Tuesday. But they're all doing video review today, so they'll come and watch their videos from the week past. We'll look at the judges' score sheets and kind of analyze what we need to dive into. And then next week we'll work on the patterns that we're going to compete on, and again, getting those horses legged up and ready to be their best.
Yeah, listen, I need to try out one of these ice boots.
No doubt.
You do. They're awesome.
Yeah. Can a human try those out?
Yeah, you could take your leg, your knee, down. You could just wrap it in Velcro and stand there. It's
We've
really
got to
good.
do this.
What are some of the horse names? Throw us out some names.
Oh, golly.
Yeah.
Your top five.
Yeah.
Top five?
Top
Oh,
five.
my gosh.
Top five names.
Well, Frappe is the most loved.
Oh.
So Frappe comes to the football games. He's starting to be Pet the Pony. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So Frappe, we actually have a little stuffed Frappe that goes with us to the horse shows. So and is kind of like our little mascot. So Frappe's probably one of the girls' favorite. We have Shiner, who is a little reiner that they love. It kind of looks like a little bit of a Barbie. She's going with the Barbie theme. Gosh, there's so many. Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to come up with names. Cobra. We've got all kinds of fun ones. Gosh.
That's good.
Yeah.
No, that's good.
I know. Just starting to rattle them all off. But Frappe's the favorite.
Frappe's number one.
Yeah,
number one.
he
I
is.
love it.
Can we have Frappe
we
on
have a
this
lot
show?
of-
Yeah,
we have-
let's have Frappe on the show. We can do that.
He would love that.
Let's do that.
We can do it.
We'll
I
just
got a
do it
horse
in the
trailer.
parking lot.
Yeah, I'll bring him in the horse trailer.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Perfect. That
done.
is set up. Next week's special guest, the only guest on the show, we're going to have Frappe the horse
Oh, yeah.
as the guest.
Yeah, we can bring him from the horse training.
All right.
trailer.
And then we can bring the ice boots, too.
Yeah.
This is going to be the greatest Monday of all time.
Oh, yeah.
Coach, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck here as you all prepare for South Dakota State and Auburn next week.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
The Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
The UT Martin cross country team just competed in the Live and Lou Cross Country Classic, and now joining us to discuss that, assistant coach of the UT Martin cross country team, Anthony Palacio. Coach, thanks so much for joining us here at the Zaxby's in Martin.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be on this.
All right, so we'll get into it here. Live and Lou Cross Country Classic. How did that all go for your team, men's and women's?
It went not exactly to expectations. There were some rough races. The heat kind of caught up to us, but at the same time, I don't really want to use that as an excuse. Everyone had the same racing conditions. It's usually Louisville is a big barometer of how we kind of test ourselves against some of the other teams in our region, some of the other teams in other regions, teams in our conference. And looking at a lot of different results, a lot of people had not as great days as you would expect for such a fast course. And looking at that, I think on the men and women's side, it kind of shows that our conference there's no real clear favorite right now. And I think that's something that we can take advantage of. It's a very new team. We have 4 returners from last year and a lot of people who didn't race last season, and it's still learning 8Ks again, 5-mile races, freshmen who are trying to understand how to race in some big races. For a lot of people, that's their biggest race of their life. 300 to 400 people in a race, all very good collegiate athletes, can be a little intimidating. So trying to adjust that, trying to manage that is big. The women ran very competitive. I think that was a big step for them going forward. There was a lot of instances where I saw them, look at someone and like make a target. I'm going to go after this person. I'm going to go beat this person. I'm going to go past this person. And that was really, really good to see, considering that some of them are a little bit younger. Some of them don't like cross country as much. And they embraced it. They really got after it, regardless of whatever their time were. They really got after it. And I think for them, with the numbers that we have and everything, it was really, really refreshing to see them get after a race and really attack it.
You have runners from all over the country. Whenever in the Southeast it is hotter, the humidity is different than it is. Is it a challenge for those that are in different climates that are maybe more welcoming to your sport to come to the Southeast and then have to race?
I would say the only time it's really a struggle was for people who internationals, like we have 2 guys on the team from New Zealand, so our summer is their winter, so they're training in the winter back home, and then they come here and it's 100 plus feels like. The humidity's awful, the racing, you got to run in the morning, got to race at night, you're doing workout at 6:30 in the morning and you're covered in sweat. It can definitely be pretty challenging, even for the people who are familiar with it. People from Mississippi, people from Tennessee, people from any of the surrounding states can still sometimes just catch these off guard. We train in the morning a lot, so it can be just a very rude awakening sometimes, where you just don't expect it to be hot and it turns out to be a little bit hotter. So it really just kind of depends on the person. Some people embrace it and like, I don't care, I'm gonna go get after it, and then some people can kind of just surprise them a bit more.
Yeah.
And other than the heat, what were some of those big challenges that the course presented? We talked to Coach Henderson last week, and you all go up there obviously the day before, correct, and then have a pre-race and let your athletes be able to see what they're dealing with. What were some of the challenges, though, that showed up there in Louisville?
The main challenge that some of the team has pretty much said is they're surprised by the footing of the course. It is very bumpy, and there's a lot of little divots, a lot of little holes. Some of the turns are very tight. And considering there's 6 races on that course that day, we were the 3rd race. Some of the turns kind of get a little cut up, a lot of, the dirt's messed up. It's a little loose. Some of the course is a little uneven. So you have people who, if you're not on the inside and you're running on the outside, and you're kind of like, your stride is a little weird. Those are some of the main.
So in that situation, if I'm running, I'm going to be looking at the ground. You don't do that, obviously. What do you look at? Where is your line of sight as a runner?
Ideally, it's looking at the person ahead of you, or looking at what's in front of you to make sure that, because oftentimes they'll start looking down and they'll look at their feet, or they'll just kind of look down as a habit, and
that's wrong, right?
Yeah, like it is, just in the sense that you want to make sure that, like, if your eyes are up, and that's a common thing a lot of coaches of all levels will say is like, keep your eyes up, and that's just to kind of make sure that you aren't, like, you're looking forward. Like, whether it's you're leading a race and you're like, I got to keep pushing, I got to know where I got to take this angle, how I need to push at this part, or it's, hey, I got to get in front of this person. There's this, when people are racing by and I give them some kind of clues, like, all right, you got to go get orange, you got to go get purple, you got to go get black, you got to go get red, and that's just the eyesight where they can go get a target and move their eyes from going down. It's like, okay, they have something to focus on. They're not focusing on the pain, they're not focusing on fatigue or where they're at in the race. It's like, I got to go get this guy, and that's the important part of just managing people, managing how they like to race, and looking at it just from a pretty basic view. So you don't got to overcomplicate it all the time.
Right, and then giving them just a goal to attack for as well. You all obviously have this week off, and then next week your last regular season meet. And with this regular season about to wrap up and the conference championship about to start, What's you all's message to the team right now, getting them set for the OVC championships?
I think our main message is we start the season in June. We've done all the mileage in June, July, August. We put in all the work. We've done a lot of strength work. We've had a lot of, good competing, competitive races where we're going out racing people and just really trying to get after it. And now it's putting some of the finishing touches on it, putting some of the speed work on the base, on a lot of the strength that we have, doing a lot of race repetition work, and knowing how we need to approach races from a team standpoint. Our last regular season meet at Angel Mounds is going to be a bit of a smaller race, a couple teams from the conference. So now it's like, okay, we've had a lot of these races. How are we going to perform here? How are we going to run as a team? How are we going to race as a team? How are we going to go, stack up against some of those teams? And, then moving forward to conference, like, okay, we've put all the work in. We got to be, a little bit of maintenance, kind of freshen up a little bit, sleep a lot more, and
Get those 8 hours in. That's
Yeah.
what it's about.
and then really just approach it and just go for it. I think there's a lot of really strong teams in our conference, a lot of really strong individuals in our conference, and looking at it from that perspective, anything can really happen. I don't think there's a clear favorite. I don't think there's any really bad teams in our conference, so it's just a really competitive meet that there will be probably in the top 20 one to two people from each team. And that's a strong conference. That's a good indicator of racing to go beat people, racing to go, try to get the lowest score possible, try to go be team champions, or just, wherever it is for whatever team, whatever if they want to do better than last year, want to hit a certain goal, like they're all trying to do something.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
The Skyhawk Sports Talk Podcast is brought to you by Weekly Ford Nissan.
UT Martin Volleyball taking on Tennessee State tomorrow night. And the Skyhawks just got their first OVC win, a road one at that, and a road split at Lindenwood. Coach Jaclynn Wilson now joining the program. And, Coach, got to feel good, though, to get that win after you faced a very talented Eastern Illinois team, and then to go on the road and get a 4-set win there against Lindenwood. I know you won that other one on Saturday. True competitor always, but to be able to get one, that had to feel good for not just you, but also the girls as well.
For sure. I mean, anytime you can get a win, and right now for us, that's kind of, the focus. It's one day at a time, and, we're a little deeper into season trying to figure some stuff out than I would like. But I think there's a lot of promising things there for us. Disappointed about Friday. I really believe we should have had that win. I think, overall we're the better ball team, but we just weren't able to put it together like we needed to. But really excited to come home and play TSU tomorrow.
Going to be a night game as well, so that'll be fun in the Skyhawk Fieldhouse. Definitely great environment there. But going back to this weekend, what was one of your takeaways from the weekend, one of your main takeaways?
Yeah, I think last time we talked, I told you I'm still, trying to figure out lineup and who needs to be on the court, and I think we're right there. Like, we're right there. I'm really seeing, we have Kayla Bryant, who is a sophomore, and this is her first season on the court for 6 rotations, and she's really starting to find her stride. On Thursday, she had a phenomenal performance. Friday, the numbers weren't as great, but in some really clutch situations she came through, and even her errors right now, like, she's seeing the right things. It's just maybe a minor miss, and so I'm really, really excited for her future. I'm excited even the immediate future. I think she's really finding a stride. Kayla Carroll, who didn't play libero most of the year, went into that role the last match before conference started. I'm really proud of her defense and her leadership on the court. We got to tighten up a couple things in her serve-receive game, which is actually her strongest skill, so I'm not overly stressed. But the defensive play she's making and the leadership she's showing, a couple highlights on the weekend.
How rewarding is it for you as a coach, like you just mentioned, when you see that potential and they have the ability, but when you actually see it all kind of click into place and it makes sense for them?
For sure. Like Kayla Bryant talking, about her being a sophomore and on the court, I think her frustrations all preseason, she was a lot more frustrated than I was. But I think I'm sitting back knowing she just needs the experience. She needs to get out there. She needs to have reps against strong Division I players and find her stride. She hasn't had that opportunity yet. Last year she got some time, but it was pretty limited, and it's exciting. It's really exciting to see her, seeing the confidence and just finding that.
That's the psychology part, though. People think if you're a coach, you want to make your players care. Sometimes your players can almost care too much.
Oh, and that's one of them right there, Kayla Bryant. I joke with her all the time just to get out of her own way, because she is, pretty analytical, and if she makes an error, she wants to know exactly what, and I'm like, you've hit thousands and thousands of balls. Go hit the ball. Go get it, And I think just learning to play a little more free and relax, she's going to find a lot of dominance in that. And she's already made so much progress. I really believe we used to feel if she made an error, it was kind of a domino effect. And her mental game's gotten a lot stronger, and I'm just really proud of, where she's headed.
Get ready for tomorrow night against Tennessee State. What's one thing that you all are working on to improve on as you all approach the Tigers?
Goodness, quick turnaround, and I think, this time of year, one of the things that recovery, is part that has to play in. And we're going to go up against a lot of size. They jump well. They're really athletic, very offensive team, and strong blocking on the defensive side. So I think if we can get it past the block, if we can use the block some, we're really going to be swinging to tool. We're going to, be trying to find the seams in the block. I don't think behind the block is near as strong. So it's something we're going to be up against size. And I think that's good for us. I think, it's a part of our game that we need to improve on. And we've been talking a lot about our serving game. And I think that was the difference between the win on Thursday and the loss on Friday. We were firing away from the service line Thursday. Friday, they were really in system and able to get the ball where we didn't want it. So I think that's a huge key against TSU is taking advantage of maybe a little bit weaker part of their game, and we've got to be firing away from that service line.
And I want to go back to what you said about your leaders, Kayla, Haley, and then also Dylan Mott as well. Have you seen them just get better as this season has gone on and as you all have started conference play?
Absolutely. I mean, Dylan Mott, I think she is just such a knowledgeable player. I mean, she knows the game. Her mom, coaching. She grew up, in the game. Both her parents played, and she's just such a solid soundboard for our team. She communicates very, very well to our hitters. When she's on the sideline, she's that first voice you hear, and she's really stepped up this year as far as a leader. Haley and Kayla return as captains from last year, and I think just their experience, they've been a huge part of us kind of just grinding this out through our challenges and knowing the success they've had, but also hey, we're learning from this, and there's a purpose. We're going through this and just grinding it out.
And you just touched on a little bit about what Tennessee State they're bringing to the field house. If you had to single out just one main key for tomorrow's match for you all, going in another conference matchup and just one game against them, this isn't just one on Tuesday and then one on Wednesday. What would you single that one thing out?
I guess I'm more hey, fire away, and that I mean that from the offensive standpoint and the service line. It's something we've been really working on all season, and we play it safe a lot, and playing it safe doesn't win games. And our girls are learning, and I see the improvement. It's frustrating not, to get more wins along the way, but I think we have a vision of where we can be, and I really believe if we can catch stride and find that chemistry and be going on all cylinders offensively and from that service line, we're going to pick up a lot of wins throughout conference.
And Coach Wilson joining the show. UT Martin taking on Tennessee State tomorrow night in the Skyhawk Fieldhouse. Make sure to come out. Going to be a very fun match. The UT Martin Skyhawk football team 4-1 right now, coming off a victory against Tennessee State 20-10 at last Saturday. And joining us now here on the Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast, linebacker Chris Hunter, a Knoxville, Tennessee native, joining the show. And always great to have the Knoxville people on the show, man. Always great. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, man. I'm excited to be here. Shout out 865.
Hey, shout out to the 865. Always. So coming from Knoxville, Tennessee, how'd you get to UTM? Think you were a transfer, right?
Yes. I actually went to West Point Community. It's a private school in New York. great experience for me. Made me kind of to who the man I am today. And I went to JUCO for a semester, and a lot of people don't know that. And then Coach Jordan Hankins, who not here, he used to be the old defense coordinator. He took a chance on me, and I've been at Martin ever since.
And what was the main thing that drew you to Martin, Tennessee to play football for this team?
I was getting recruited by him out of high school, and I loved the culture. I came to a game. I loved Coach Simpson and how upfront he was. That, like, UT is not everybody's dream school, but once you come here, the town will love you if you love it. So it just family aspect to it, and it just brought me here. I love it here.
Just playing Division I college sports, football particularly, is very difficult. When in your life, at what point did you set your sight on that and know that you had the ability to do that?
In Knoxville, not too many people get to play Division I football. So growing up, I was always just trying to play basketball, and I ended up not even playing football until my junior year of high school. So my coaches told me, like, if you lock in, you can really play this at the next level. So my junior year is whenever I really realized, like, all right, I can play this.
What position did you play in basketball?
In basketball, I played like 1 through like the 4.
Yeah.
And Knoxville ain't that much height, so I had to play everywhere.
Do you miss hoops at all? You still play?
Yeah, I play some from time to time. Coach Simpson, he don't let me play too much.
Right. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, we just come out with the report. Hey, because Coach Simpson will come on at the end of the show. Coach, I think Chris is playing a little basketball in the rec center.
Yeah, I try not to play too much.
Can you
And there
can
he
you
is
dunk?
right there. Just
Yes, I
walked in.
can dunk. I can dunk. I
Oh.
never dunked in high school, but I can dunk.
Okay.
So are you the best basketball player on the team?
Yeah. I'm the best basketball player on the team for sure. Yeah.
I believe that. But you know why I believe that? Because you stopped and you thought about it. And if somebody just said, they're not telling the truth. I know it because you actually analyzed everybody on the team.
Yeah, I think I hold that title.
So who would be second best on the team?
I would say O'Shea Baker.
O'Shea, okay.
How about that?
O'Shea Baker is definitely second best player.
So you've got you and O'Shea to fill out the rest of the starting 5. Who you got?
O'Shea at the 1. I'm at the 2.
Yeah.
Bryce Daly at the 3.
Okay, Bryce.
You
You leave someone out there going to make you hear about it today.
Austin
right?
Bray at the 4.
I like that. Yeah, who's your big guy?
And Lamar Morgan and DJ Nelson at the 5.
I was about to say.
Whichever one.
Going with an offensive lineman at the 5. That's not
You
not a
could
bad
play
move at all.
positionless basketball.
Yeah, position is best. Lamar want to be a guard anyway. So.
That's right.
And I don't know if he could do that though.
Yeah.
We'll just leave him. We'll let him believe he's Jokic and keep him down there, and then let him keep playing. So you've been on the team now for 4 years, and you've been in some great linebacker rooms. You've learned under Rob Hicks and also John Ford as well. And now it's you, Tevin Shipp, Jack Lucas, and a lot of these guys, along with yourself, getting your shot this season with more playing time than before. And how great is it, not just for you, but to see your teammates as well? You've grinded these past couple of years, and now you're seeing it pay off. What is that like to see just the process start to really take some realization?
First off, I got to shout out John Ford and Rob Hicks. They set the blueprint on how it should be done, how do you attack it every single day. And they just set the blueprint on how UT Martin linebacker is supposed to be played. So they definitely set it up for us. And me and Shipp, we came in together. So it's like we just kind of been working behind the scenes, getting in when we can, doing what we can whenever with the opportunity that we have. And it's great to see Shipp and actually Jalen Sharp are the 2 starters right now. And it's just crazy to see them every game going out there, finally getting an opportunity because we're all like in the same boat. And going out there every day, I get so excited just going out there seeing Jalen Sharp make a play, Shipp make a play, and then I get to come in and make my play. So I really feel like we got the best linebacker group in the country. And it starts with Coach Butch. Coach Butch gets us right. He's dialed in. He got promoted to DC now, so he's definitely been a big part of why we so successful in our linebacker room.
And him just in his first season as well, how is that going, and what are some of the best things you've learned so far from Coach Butch?
Coach Butch, he keeps the main thing. He's very detailed into film study, into walkthroughs. Everything is so detailed with him. So I feel like that rubs off on us and makes us study film harder because the little details is what wins and loses you football games. So I think that's why John Ford and Rob Hicks had so much success, and I think that's why we're having so much success now.
And big matchup this weekend against Eastern Illinois. Both of you all now in the top 25 and going to be a huge matchup on the road for you. And how are you all approaching this week with, again, this Panthers team, they're off to a really good start, and it's going to be a fun game.
Oh, yeah, we're playing at that place, so that's automatically tasked as it is. EIU has a great team this year. They always have a really good defense. So we're diving in. We're real focused because we know that this is a must-win game for us, and they're going to come. They're going to give us their best shot.
If I quit this season, I still be the
The UT Martin Skyhawk football team 4-1 on the season as they'll head into a big road game against top 25 opponent in Eastern Illinois. Now joining the program, head coach of the UT Martin football team, Jason Simpson, as the Skyhawks 20 unanswered points against Tennessee State and another second half shutout. And this team, coach, continuing to find ways to win football games.
Hey, get some juice, man. Let's go. That was a good win.
It was a
I
good
guess
win.
you wanted us to win 40-10.
See, okay, and we talked about it on
So,
the
but
broadcast.
sky's falling. We only had 480-something yards. We only won 20-10.
See, that's the young person to me. I want to see the score rise up. But, I mean, you look at the stat sheet. You brought it up in your press conference after the show that you put up over 400 total yards, and then you ran the ball still well.
480 something.
487. So,
I love this.
No, I'm kidding with you. And I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek because there's times as a coach you feel like that. Because you want to play the perfect game. You want to play as good as your team can possibly play, based on their ability. But guess what? So does the other coach, and so does the other team. Okay, and you're on the way to a successful season. All right, you're going to have to grind some games out. Okay, and that was a game the other night where, to give them credit from the standpoint of, we knew they were a good defense. Okay, and we knew they were going to make you drive the ball. Didn't give up a whole lot of big plays, all right? And even though it's not on the stat sheet, okay, but look where we got one short field when they shanked the punt. Mm-hmm. And I believe we scored a touchdown that drive, okay? I think that's the one DJ caught the pass on. I think that was correct. But besides that, they were getting, even though our defense played great, only allowed 10 points, they were getting the ball, they were getting 2 first downs when we had them backed up. All right, or 3 first downs, and then they were stalling out at midfield, and they would punt it. So now we got to go 80 yards, on offense. So, and that's difficult to do. That plus, Sam being, banged up, held the ball in his left arm. Didn't really want, was trying to protect his right arm, so he didn't have his stiff arm. All right, so the longest run he had all night, which is a normal day, is 20 yards. Okay, so you couldn't get those, those big plays like we've been getting in the run game. So, with all that, and then you stalled out in the red zone and you botched a field goal and stuff. So, therefore, that's where your 20 points came from. But what a great job by our defense. That's 3 weeks in a row they hadn't allowed, played really well in the second half and shut people out.
You may not be able to tell us this, but you and Coach George had a long conversation after the game.
Oh, yeah.
What was he saying to you?
He's all, ever since I've met him, he's and I really appreciate this. Here's a guy that's, you see him on the Heisman House commercials, right? He's in the NFL Hall of Fame, okay, Super Bowl. But I really do appreciate it and admire this about him. He'll talk to me about OVC, winning. Okay, building a program and very complimentary of our program, and he doesn't have to do that. I mean, I'll sit there and listen to his NFL stories or whatever. And every time I get to those, he'll answer the question, but then he'll come back to some of the things he's seen us do over here, around here for the last 20 years. So I really admire that about him. A very humble person. So we've developed a pretty neat relationship. I told him, your team is from where they were year one. They've got a good football team. They're gonna win some games. And the last thing I whispered to him, though, I figured he knew, Sam was dinged up, and still got 20 carries to his credit. Okay, but in the first half, was pretty limited. And I said one of the things I told to Sam was, hey, their coach, talking about Eddie, would, I'm sure how many games he had been in that was dinged up and to push through it and played, through it, and so. Obviously that was brought up, and he looked at me and said, "Oh, I wish you wouldn't have said that." Maybe he would have said over there. But so that was just a little fun that we had. But
Coach, that's brilliant to use the opposing team's coach as an example of what your player is capable of.
Well, that's the amount of respect I have for him as a player, and So anyway, I'm not saying that's why Sam rolled, but really really impressed with Sam pushing himself through it and still having a productive game.
But we were saying on the air, if anybody is respecting what he's doing, Sam, in Payne now, it's definitely Coach George. Yeah. How is Sam now, I guess, is the big question.
It'd be limited. The rest of this week in practice and still getting checked out and stuff. I mean, those and it was an unfortunate thing. It was on the reverse, and then he was flipping the ball to Tank as he was coming around. And the backside end tackled him from behind, but as he's pitching the ball, the guy grabbed his arms, so he couldn't get his hands down, to cushion his fall. So a lot of that pressure was on the AC joint and stuff. So it's a cruel game. It's a very physical game, and that was just all the runs he's had this year. Unfortunately, it comes on a reverse as he's talking to tossing the ball.
And still has over 100 rushing yards on the game too. So still a great performance from him.
130.
Coach has got his stats today. I tell y'all what,
the fact checker.
He does. He's got the stats today. Offensively, though, for you on Saturday, who impressed you the most? Of course, you have Sam fighting through that injury, but overall, who impressed you the most? I know that Sean Hardy, he's come in.
That was a good play.
Zoe's also had some good games recently and had that really good year in 21, and then 22 had a lot of talent in that receiving room, but now he is really broken up and starting to put up some of those numbers like 2021.
No, good point. It was a good team win on offense. And I hadn't really cut this offense loose yet. Okay, what I mean by that is, we're playing good defense. We're doing what we need to do to win the game. But eventually, Tennessee State kind of approached it and said, hey, I don't want to say they loaded the box. It wasn't like cover zero or anything, okay? But obviously their extra hat was in there. But couple side things. One, Lamar Morgan, didn't practice all week. So Mitch got his first start at right tackle. All right, so very proud of him. We had a scoring drive with him in there. And that's crucial. We've only played 5.5 offensive linemen, the whole season up to this point. So proud of Mitch getting in there. I thought Narkel had a couple good runs that kept it, when Sam came out. I thought that Kincaid made a couple good throws. He helped us with his legs in the run game. He had the nice touchdown scoring run, which makes us difficult to defend when he can add on in the run game. And then there was a couple good third down conversions with the Zoe made some good catches. I thought Tank had a really good play. I thought the ball was overthrown, and he ran it down. He found another gear and went and ran it down. It was good to see DJ contribute and make a nice play. So there was a lot of guys. The offensive line played solid. So, good contributions. And of course, it's a lot easier to do. It's a lot easier to call plays when you've only given up 10 points.
Defensively for this team, we talked to Chris, one of the linebackers in that crew, and then you've got Tevin, Jaclynn, and all these guys. They saw John Ford and Rob Hicks perform so well for this program. Defensively, though, who have you seen that's really just stepped out and continued to come in each week, bring their lunch pail to work, and really get after it?
Right. That whole group has played good all year, in my opinion. But the guys that show up as the defense grades the tape every week and says these are the guys that played really well. Jared Johnson at the nose tackle. That was a guy that was a contributor last year, but now he's starting. And it's hard to make plays at the nose tackle, guys, right? Because you're usually fighting through double teams. But he plays with great effort. Dot gets all the publicity and stuff, and it's well deserved. But Jared brings his hard hat to work every day and has made a lot of plays for us. Jalen Sharp has really shown up, with some physicality and running to the football. Carson Evans has been very consistent this year, made a lot of good plays in this game where, he's one-on-one, and, normally last year that probably would have been a pass interference for him. Okay, but now he's confident. He's seen it. He's got all those reps. He knows if I get my eyes back on the ball, right, I can have contact and still defend the pass and not, but if I don't turn and look for the ball and I make contact, they're going to flag me for pass interference. That showed up. I was proud of O'Shea. O'Shea didn't have a very good first half against North Alabama, and he was really hard on himself this week, and he needed to be. And really responded with a good week of practice and a good solid game. So I was pleased with that. So there's a lot of them, okay? Chris Hunter's one. Chris Hunter hasn't played a whole lot of football for us at linebacker in the 3 and 4 years that he's been here. He's been on special teams. And but it means a lot to him, and he's making some plays. it's those stories are still being written as we talk. But I'm very proud of our defensive staff and our coordinator, Coach Butcher, the plans they put together every week.
UT Martin versus Eastern Illinois, a top 25 matchup this weekend in Charleston. Going to be a fun one between UT Martin and the Panthers, who are off to a 4-1 start for the first time since 2013. A very good team. Coach Simpson still with us here as we wrap up the Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast for yet another week. But, Coach, before we end, as you gear up for this weekend, what needs to improve before arguably, this is probably the biggest matchup in the Big South OVC up to this point?
I don't know if there's one particular thing. First of all, the team meeting today, right? We'll talk about who we're playing. They're 4-1. Okay, it's been a while since we've gone to Eastern Illinois, played them here or there, and there was a lot on the line. Okay, so credit to their head coach and their staff. You look, they're scoring. I think I saw they're scoring 21 points a game and giving up 18 points a game. So they've played in a lot of close games lately. Okay, they're giving up 374 yards a game. And they're getting about 340 a game on offense. So it is a team effort. Okay, there's not one side of the ball, but they're playing really good defense. What was it, 2 weeks ago, they're back. The transfer was player of the week in the league, and then I got a safety that was player of the week in the league. It's a good football team. Last year we scratched out a win against them at home for the conference championship, held on to win 34-31. Okay, and they had nothing to play for last year. We had everything to play for that first game. So it will be, you're going on the road. You're playing a ranked team. Both of you got, 4 wins. So this is what you do all that work for. This is what competitive, good competition. So I shouldn't have to say a whole lot, okay? What we need to improve on, okay, is, just everything's got to raise up a notch. Everything's got to raise up a notch. Kincaid got to take care of the football. Can't take a throw one up on first down. When we're taking a shot, just throw the ball away. We'll move on to the next play. All right, Chris Hunter, if he was in here, he's got to know if the blitz is coming from the other side. All right, and that 2x2, that's his play on the quarterback. Okay, that was his. He's supposed to be there, the one that their quarterback ran in for 40 yards. So there's always different moving pieces of different things that happen throughout a game. That you're asking your players to recognize and play fast and make those plays. So us as coaches got to put them in those situations. So I won't say one thing. It's everything, and you've got 3 or 4 days to get that stuff in practice as you line up against what they do, and then keep improving on what you do.
And defensively, you brought up Jack Lucas and Carson Evans. They've both played well in the first 5 weeks. And how have you seen them settle into their roles this season and make plays from that safety spot?
Well, like I said, Jack can play better than he played this week. He had a couple good games, but this wasn't one of his better games. But very proud of Jack. Jack has waited his turn for 4 and 5. Year 5 for him to get on the field as a starter. Got to challenge him to stay hungry. And continue to make those plays and be detailed, and so he'll need to do that this week. But Carson, is probably on defense played. It matters. It matters to Carson. Every rep in practice matters to him. It's important to him. He is. If you tell me, give me a definition of what you want your football team to be about. Okay, it's hard to choose anybody more that demonstrates that than Carson Evans.
Such a great job that they've done this year from that safety spot. Josh Hastings as well has played good when he's been on the field. He's been dealing with some injuries, though. For Eastern Illinois, you brought it up, that by far one of the best defenses in the league. So very talented. Yeah. Offensively, how do you try to keep them on their toes? And just for our radio audience real quick, we're probably going to go a little bit over on the Skyhawk Sports Talk podcast on YouTube, but on radio about to sign off. But Coach, just back to that, how do you keep them on their – they played just so many close games this year.
Yeah.
How do you keep them guessing offensively and make sure that you are – again, just keeping them guessing with different formations, eye candy motion, and stuff like that?
Well, you just said it. Okay, come over to the offense meeting after this. And
yes.
You can stand at the table and say, no. Every week you're trying to do that. Okay, we're not so good that we can just line up every week and do the same things and think. We're not. Not many teams in the country that are built like that. Okay, there has to be an element of surprise. There have to be some deviation of what your tendencies and personnels have done up to this point. The more that you can not let the defense be comfortable, okay, and have a good, feel of what's coming, all right? And so you try to do those things, but yet not confuse your own players because you've only got so many reps of practice here the next 2-3 days in order to do those. So, you can't go out, we'll never go out in left field and all of a sudden line up in what they call polecat, right, just with the center and the quarterback and everybody spread out, nothing like that, okay? But, I don't like for the defense to be able to get their cleats in the ground, okay, and feel comfortable. So, therefore, that's why you play with some tempo.
That's your strength, though, Coach. You're a strategist, and I think that's what you've done so well, as you said, always keeping the opponent on their heels, not on their toes.
Well, we've done more of it over the years. Okay, every team's different. How good as a blocker is your tight end? How good of a runner is your quarterback? How, do you have Colton Dowell? Do you leave him over here by himself? Because if so, you're going to get two guys over there, okay? So, therefore, you don't know how exactly they're going to line up, but there's going to be two over there on Colton Dowell. So now you can kind of eliminate some other things that you're going to see. So every week, every year is different. And like I said, you try not to confuse your team because, you don't want to come back on Sunday, guys, and say it was too much. It was too much. We beat ourselves, okay? You want to make the opponent beat you and not beat yourself.
That hasn't happened to you often, though, has it?
You know what? There's times like the other night. I didn't like my, the little play action pass that we threw. Kincaid slips, okay, underneath center. All right. If his footwork is correct, right, the ball goes to Max in the flats for a touchdown. Okay. So and then we'd all been excited. I tell you what a great play Coach Petrino put in. They ran that play at Purdue. All right. But what didn't look as comfortable, he slips on the throw, almost throws a pick. Okay, and we wouldn't have got any points on that drive. Okay, so I'm second-guessing myself after that. Hey, we probably ran that 7 times during the week, right? But there's other plays that we have run, 77 times going back all the way to camp. Would he have had a better opportunity to score on that? So there's the balance of it.
Yeah.
And as just one final question, keys to the game as you go up against Eastern Illinois. And we sign off on radio on WTM, but we're going to keep it going, of course, here on the podcast. Who has to step up? Who's got to have that breakout game offensively and defensively?
That's yet to be seen, and both teams are putting their game plans in and stuff, right? I mean, obviously their back's good, right? We've done a good job on the run, okay? So are they going to be able to throw the football down the field? Are they going to be able to we rush 3 and they get outside the pocket, we break down in some coverages, right? And then they separate our zone coverage and be able to find a guy, on a big game. That's what happens sometimes when you rush 3 and drop 8 and you can't bottle the quarterback up in the pocket. I think that will come into play. I would think us being able to make some plays in the passing game. Okay, we've got good receivers. We've got to be able to throw and catch, and push the ball down the field, or be able to throw it in the flats and make somebody miss and create some plays. So nothing changes from this week to last week. But we're on the road. It's homecoming, I believe, for them. Last time I was there for homecoming, they had a big crowd. The home side was full. I'm sure the wind will be blowing 15 or so miles per hour.
Always.
Okay, that can affect you going, depending on which way you're going and stuff. So, a lot of things out there for you to have to overcome. But, that's why it's whoever wins 4 quarters, and it's not just done on paper.
If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.